Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading for the month of April. So, I'm finally getting back to doing the zodiac sign readings. So, hopefully, I become a lot more consistent with this. But that being said, I really hope this resonates with those of you out there who watch this video. I've been discovering a few different tarot/astrology channels lately, and they're really good. I'm like, wow, how do you do that? So it's somewhat intimidating, or another way to put it is that like I psych myself out worrying that I'm not reading as like well or whatever. Honestly, I think it's just a lot of it is that, and any of you, if you're a reader or if you have your own channel, if you can relate to this, let me know. But for me, a lot of it is that like I know I'm so plugged in to my life and things that I've witnessed in my reality that when I do readings, I can't help but notice all of the messages that are basically just things that I was experiencing or messages that I would want to hear for myself. But it's like coming out kind of perfectly through the cards. It's not on purpose, but it happens all the time. And so, one of the reasons why I like doing zodiac readings is because I'm like, well, I'm a Pisces. I'm not all 12 zodiac signs, but pretty much probably all 12 signs that there's like people I know in my life that are either an Aries or a Taurus or a Gemini and so forth. So I then kind of think about those people and see their energy or how it kind of resonates with their energy, which then makes me worry that I'm like just tuning into that when I'm trying to create really solid messages that resonate with everyone. So I get in my head about if the things are, I don't know. But then, contrary to all that, at the same time, I have a very good friend of mine, and she has a YouTube channel. Um, and it's very possible that she might actually see this video because my friend is a Sagittarius. Um, but the point is, I've noticed recently, it might have been for a while now or something, I've been really disconnected from social media and from everyone for like the last, I don't know, 2 years, 2.5, something like that. But anyways, I've got back in tune with all my favorite channels and things to do because I've been having a lot more time for myself. So part of that included getting to catch up and watch her readings again. But anyways, I've noticed in her readings that she's been more open and connecting the messages not only with the audience, but like sharing how she resonates or relates to the message. So I'm like not alone in this feeling then, and that like maybe I'm just that much more transparent, and that other readers out there that seem to be talking just to the audience with so much certainty and confidence, um, they might just kind of like be able to see all those connections and not get as distracted by them as I do. Um, and therefore, they don't worry as much about if the messages are resonating or if they're just projecting, because I think they're able to see all of those and just kind of understand that that's sort of where a lot of the energy, where the magic happens to begin with, so to speak. Obviously, there's like just like totally like channeling energy from the universe through spirit, so to speak. Um, Definitely get downloads, but yeah, I don't know. So enough rambling. We're gonna get started with your reading. First, we're gonna be doing the general energy throughout the month of April. Yes. I know, very fancy, a chair with a t-shirt on it. But anyways, after this, we'll be doing a love reading on the month of April, the same format, and then a career reading. So let's go ahead and look into it. So first, we've got the Ace of Pentacles with the Eight of Swords. So to me, this is saying you've got a brand new opportunity in the physical world, perhaps financially, um, just with your health, with your physical body. You may very well be literally evolving, going through some sort of evolution at this time. And that's your goal, is what I'm getting. That's what you want. But maybe you're not completely seeing it, or you get stuck in your own thoughts, worrying about whether or not this is actually happening, whether or not you're really transforming and going through this renewal. It's almost like the physical world, you're seeing the real changes now for this renewal, but you're worried that your own body can't keep up. So it's almost like, a lot of the times you feel, you have to change from within. You got to be the change. If you want the change to happen, you have to be the change yourself. There's some sort of quote about that. But anyways, I'm getting that you probably did do a lot of work internally and just physically, perhaps, and made real changes that eventually created really clear changes out in the world. So this is like a ripple effect. And I'm getting that now that these major changes are actually happening outside of you, it feels so effortless and it's pretty spectacular. Because you're like, wow, the universe and us being all connected and this whole experience being magical and ripple effects, it's all real. Because you feel like you really did put in a lot of work to go through some real changes within yourself. And you kind of figured that how it would create the change in the outer world is that, it would get you more motivated to then go out there and find those things. But no, yes, that's the thing. But I mean, like, but in terms of how effortless it is, but no, it's like you did those major changes and now effortlessly you're watching these things unfold for you in your physical space, whether that's like moving forward in your career. I know someone who recently got a promotion, a surprise influx of money all of a sudden, um, or like you've been wanting to really change up your health routine, your workout routine, and you all of a sudden like something arrived at your doorstep that was like, a free box of like health foods. I'm just coming up with random examples, or like a DVD that like happens to really talk about wellness and like provide all these like amazing resources that you weren't able to find for like the last 4 years or something, or 2.5 years. It's like all these things, it like you feel like it can't be a coincidence. But anyways, I'm trying to describe the feeling of what these changes happening around you are. It's like on the one end, you see how they have to do with the internal changes that you've made, but on the other end, it feels so effortless that you almost feel like it's just happening magically, and that now you're worried that you have to keep up. But the reason why I explained all that is because to reassure you that I think you're just getting in your head about this, that you've sort of trapped yourself with all of these reasons and thoughts that make sense, but I think it's just energy or information overload. You've thought so much into it that now you can't determine like the flow of things on what you need to do to remain in alignment with these positive changes, things like that. But anyways, all of what I was explaining earlier is to reassure you, to remind you that these major changes happening in your life are for a reason, and that they are because you have already done the internal work. And sure, there's always going to be like more to do. We can always grow and improve ourselves and everything like that. But I'm just getting like, I don't think this is really passing you by, because you've manifested these opportunities. And it is very well true that even if we put in work and then manifest opportunities, we could still end up letting the opportunity pass us by. And I feel like that's what you're worried about, Sagittarius. Or at least that's like clicking with me about someone specific, which then makes me worry like, maybe I'm just projecting. But like, no, I'm really getting that here with the Ace of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords. Like, really worried that limiting yourself, or like these limiting beliefs, or these thoughts that make you think you're stuck when you're actually more free than ever. You're worried that you're going to miss these opportunities that have been manifesting into your life. And we're going to clarify this with the Ace of Swords. So we get the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords. With the Nine of Swords, definitely anxious about this and have a lot of fears about this. You feel like you can't really take a step forward at the start of the month and get yourself unstuck, because you feel like if you take that sword of truth and make that decision, that the next step is then all the fear and anxiety about if you made the wrong decision or if you acted too soon. Yeah. Or just that you maybe feel like if you take one more step forward, that you're going to immediately be filled with anxiety and fear and regret. I'll share a story that literally just happened tonight. Someone really wanted to meet up with me, and I was really unsure and anxious, and went back and forth on if I would do it. And I explained that I'm not the most compatible with what they were looking for, and they gave me their address, and I was going to go, but then I changed my mind again. And then eventually they even offered, I asked if they would be willing to pick me up, and they said yes. I'm now realizing I was the one who asked if he could pick me up. Whoops. But anyways, the person picks me up, and I get over there. And I was already regretting it the moment I reached their car. Not because of the person, but because I made this person drive all the way out there. And I told them that I was worried that I was going to disappoint them. That most of these like dates or meetups or things like don't work out. That I'm not very compatible with people for various reasons. But that I'm just trying my best right now, you know? And he understood, but he still wanted to pick me up. And so he just did. I get over there, and by the time I make it to his place, I'm like, before we even get inside, I'm like, I already want to tell him, like, I'm sorry, can you drive me back? But I don't. I do tell him, but then I'm like, oh, well, he was willing, but then I was like, oh, I'll come inside for a little bit. I go into the house or to the place, and it's really nice. I'm like, this is a really nice place. And it was peaceful. He was really respectful. Tried to put something on that I like on Netflix. And yeah, very, very respectful. And Yeah, very cute. Like everything was kind of perfect. He had these beautiful lights that were like on the ceiling. It was just so amazing. But for whatever reason, I just wasn't connecting. I just wasn't feeling a super deep connection emotionally, um, physical, romantically, you know? And I told him, I was like, I'm sorry. And um, to drive me back, and he was he wasn't like angry or like anything. He was just like he didn't really want to, but like at the same time he was like, no, that's okay. And like he was really tired, and then eventually drove me back, and I still felt bad. And literally throughout the car, or like by the when we got into my neighborhood, he thanked me. He thanked me for coming over and for that very short amount of time that um, that I felt like must have really disappointed him, but he just somehow didn't seem offended or hurt or disappointed. And I still just don't understand. I'm like, how are you so kind? How are you so nice and like thoughtful and understanding? Like um very peaceful energy. And I'm like, wow, like I wish that I could give what I wanted. But anyways, the whole point of this story time is that maybe you make a move forward and you're worried about anxiety, because then once you set the gears in motion, you feel like there's no turning back. But my story is to remind you that you can change your mind at any time, and that maybe the reason why you feel stuck at the beginning of the month is because Sagittarius is fire, so it's one of the honestly fastest energies out there, you know, because fire. So I feel like for you, Sagittarius, you're like, but it's not so much you don't understand. When it's on, it's on. Like when the green light is on, or when the gas pedal is on, like the brakes like don't happen. I don't know. Trying to come up with like a car driving analogy, but hopefully you probably get what I'm talking about. Like, and that might not resonate for all of you out there, but that should be resonating for some of you out there about this, for your reasoning of why you might be trapped in your thoughts at this time, even though all these opportunities in the physical world are presenting it themselves to you. Financial opportunities, um, love opportunities, the opportunities for your healing, for all sorts of stuff. For example, of how it could apply to your healing, it's like maybe you come across some really good resources for new food recipes, workout routines, all this stuff, but it's very overwhelming because you're like, you want it to be that when you get started, you can do all of the things. But in that example, maybe you feel like you're going to drop the ball. Like you might try some of the health changes, but then like there's so much information out there that for whatever reason, you just don't have the curiosity and the energy for it. You're not feeling all the mood to go in that direction, even though it's definitely something important to you that you really want. So that's an example with like the healing and like the health routine, like how that could be something instead of romance, or instead of career. But I feel like for each of you out there, it's going to be one of those areas. And it could be all of the areas, but I feel like Sagittarius, you're able to hyper focus on a certain area in your life, or a lot of areas in your life that you already have established. And sometimes the new things that you want to incorporate it into your life, those are the ones that um, that you might be having a tough time inviting into your life because you already have a lot established for yourself, and you don't want that to get disrupted. So another message about where fear and anxiety could come from, aside from fear of disappointment, if any of you maybe have worked through that or don't experience that or as much of it, another big fear I'm thinking of that's like coming to mind from all this is, I'm losing it now. Not disappointment, but I lost it, but I did have it. That anxious about if you try incorporating these new things, that it'll disrupt this financial transformation that you've finally gotten for yourself. So maybe it almost feels like perfect timing, but also bad perfect timing, so to speak, where you're like, oh, this is perfect and it's exactly what I want, but like, oh my gosh, now that I'm thinking about it, all of these amazing changes happening all at once, I don't know if I'm ready. So like the timing feels off in some way where you're like, oh no, like I thought all of my miracles and blessings and wishes and manifestations were going to come in maybe at different times, but they all came in all at once. That's what I'm trying to describe here. Again, all these major external changes, but you feel like you can't keep up in some way. So, but generally the clarification is that you are keeping up though. And I feel like you might feel like you're sort of lagging behind a little bit, and therefore might miss some of these opportunities. But just kind of remember that you brought these opportunities to you through all those self-work, self-love, self-care. So if what you're doing right now is all still coming from a place of self-love and self-care, no matter what opportunities that perhaps pass you by, even the ones that feel so perfect and so like right and in alignment for you, even if somehow that passed you by, Spirit is trying to remind you that you still didn't mess up because you brought that into your life because of all the healing you did. So you will be able to manifest that again in a new form. It won't be the exact same form. So yes, that exact opportunity that passed you by will then have passed you by if that's what happened. I'm just walking you through the what if your fear happens where it passes you by. This is the reassurance that you're still going to meet or come together with someone new or some opportunity that's new that will still align with your soul and still bring you that piece of your journey that brings that fulfillment and happiness and like passion, that you, and that sense of alignment, just whatever, where you feel like it's right. So this is just saying like you can't go wrong here. Opportunities that you're ready for, you're going to accept them, and that will go well is what I think. And the opportunities that showed up at the same time, and that you're just so overwhelmed by all the different opportunities and that you feel like you can only pick one or a few different options here, you are like, that's going to be okay too. So I hope that makes sense. Pretty long beginning of the month there. So the middle of the month, we've got the Queen of Swords, yeah, definitely, and the King of Wands. Powerful ally, loyalty, honor. King of Wands, doing what you think is right. I'd say this energy is very much so your energy since it's fire, but you could be dealing with a fire sign. You could be dealing with an air sign. You don't have to. This is just for any of you who resonate with this message. But this is just saying like, yeah, some of you are worried like you don't have enough time now. Like with all these major changes, now you're like that much more busy. And now you have less time to really work together with someone or come together with somebody. And the people could be you, a fire sign, and an air sign, or you and another fire sign, or someone that takes on very powerful energy, that's very clear and decisive. I'm just describing the Queen of Wands pretty much, or Queen of Swords. All the queens and kings are all kind of in tarot are kind of like same energy, but just in a different element, you know? Different hobbies, different interests, master of their own element. So this is like you're dealing with someone who's really mature on a very similar wavelength to you. And to me, this is saying that you have nothing to worry about here, these fears and anxieties. The great thing about fears and anxieties, worries, is that oftentimes that's all they are. They are an illusion. They are simply fears. They are not the truth of what is going to happen. You know, our fears and whatnot come from us trying to protect ourselves, or, you know, but maybe a solution to that is to soothe ourselves and remind ourselves that these fears are not everything, in that they are due to the past, trauma and things you've been through, and you're worried as they all point towards the future, trying to tell you the future is going to look just like that. But the real thing about that is that means you are actually in that dark place, surrounded by these fears, in your environment where you're experiencing fears and anxiety. That is where the fear is real. Not in the future when you go to what that thing is, you know? If you get what I'm saying, it's like these swords are pointing at the future saying that that's where the fear is going to be. Don't go there. But it's an illusion because the fears are right here. So clearly the way to get out of the fears is to go to right where the fears are telling you not to go. They're pointing at like the direction of telling you don't go there. That's where your fears are, but that's where they aren't, because your fears are pointing at something outside of themselves. Does that make sense? So yeah, that's supposed to be reassuring. So we're going to clarify the middle of the month here. We get the Lover's card. So that to me is clarifying that this can very well be about a love situation, or a connection that you feel deep affection towards, whether it's like a friendship or family, just some sort of love connection. And then the Hermit. This can, of course, for some of you out there, really be more to do with the love for yourself and finding that within yourself and wondering like how to really love yourself fully again, or how to heal something within you. You're really reflecting on that. Very spiritual energy in the middle of the month. So I feel like in the middle of the month, you've kind of worked through these fears and you're now outside of it. You've passed, the moment has passed where you're in this moment in time surrounded by the fears. So you're where these swords pointed into the future. Because that's the thing, the future is inevitable. They're pointing at a future, telling you not to go there, even though you have no choice but to move into the future as time is, approaching. So you get there and you realize it's not at all as bad or scary as your fears and your thoughts might have been telling you or that you've been worrying about. But it does bring you to this place of really needing to go within and really kind of meditate and reflect on where did that all come from? Like, I don't know, I'm just getting like all of this love and acceptance that you've experienced in the middle of the month. It's got you in many ways feeling way more confident about yourself and more sure, um, more relief and more trust with yourself that you know what the right decisions are, that you can trust your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own feelings, like, so really healing a lot of like self image, being able to see your true self much better, your true, beautiful, amazing self. But it's got you confused and thinking because you're like, I'm facing all this love and all of this like healing and growth and finally energy that's matching my own, that's really mature and understanding. So why am I still feeling something is off? Something like that. You're like still feeling like you're still looking for more in the universe, so to speak. And so I feel like you're going to be really reflecting on that in the middle of the month. So at the end of the month, we've got the Judgment card with the Knight of Wands. And I feel like this is saying that throughout the whole month, it's almost like you feel like you're taking steps forward in the physical reality that are bringing you all the success and abundance, and maybe even love. Uh, Not maybe even as if that's like what a thought, but like I just mean like it can be in like by maybe even because like the star that kind of implies like, oh, you have one but not the other, like you can pick money but you can't pick love. Like I say, pick it all, choose everything that you desire. But what I'm trying to get is that like you might be getting everything that you pretty much wanted out of this month by the end of the month, but you still feel like spiritually that you've been that you've been going the wrong way, that you've been somehow missing something obvious, or just somehow feeling like even though you were going all the right steps forward, that your soul is for some reason telling you to turn back time, to do things differently, to not do it the way that you're gonna do it. But the Capricorn Judgment card, prioritization, analysis, practicality, it honestly, all the choices you made just made the most sense for you at the time. And even by the end of the month, it'll all still make sense to you, the choices you made and the order of things that you chose to prioritize. It was very much the right thing to do, but on a soul, something in your spirit is making you feel like there's still something missing um that you like that that you like still want to incorporate into your life. I don't know. Something like that. And I honestly, like, I feel like it can be a number of things. definitely can see how this could be about a partner or about a connection or um, really needing to like be like, like maybe there was like a friend in need, but you couldn't be there for your friend because you had to move or you were really busy with all the other things going on in your life, or you weren't mentally at a place where you could support and be like that friend or whatever. And I'm just getting like that try not to regret the month, which I don't think you will. But like when you're looking back on it, try not to, again, with the healing work that you've been working through about not beating yourself up, try really to not beat yourself up over um, whatever experiences didn't happen. Um, like if I go to a restaurant and I choose to order the sandwich, I'll never have gotten to have seen what the soup was like that day. Vice versa, if I chose the soup, there's no way I get to experience the sandwich. It's like it's not your fault that time spans out into infinite timelines and that you can basically only choose one. And yes, the timelines that you're choosing have many overlapping timelines where so many things are kind of rapidly happening and it's constantly changing around, so to speak. But generally, like, there's those can be brought into bigger sized branches that have differentiating timelines, and basically goes back into that same message of how you can really only choose one timeline to go on, at least at this point on your journey through the human experience as like a single consciousness being in a single physical space, your body. Maybe infinite timelines is much like a consciousness getting to incarnate as all of life. And so maybe your higher self, where you're connected through it all, you're technically experiencing every timeline simultaneously. But again, you specifically, the person listening to this video, you are a you're the manifestation of a singular timeline because you're a human on this earth. Does that make sense? So, anyways, we're going to clarify this. With the Three of Cups, yeah, it's something about a friend, the Emperor, and the overall energy here is that maybe the form in which your connection ends up, it's like you probably don't lose any connections because connections that you really feel that strongly about, that have the same level of love, understanding, maturity, things like that, you can never truly lose those connections, is what I truly believe. I think those connections like have strong morals and things like that, just like how you have strong morals. So those connections are always going to be there for you, is what I really think. And this is that reminder. So this is just saying, like, to reassure you that you're not going to lose these amazing connections that you might have just made recently. Some of you might be thinking more nostalgic, and just connections that it's been years or decades, and this is like the reminder that those connections still mean something, and that those good times that you had with those connections, this could be even about loss for some of you, even though that's a very heavy subject. This is reminding you that that love is so definitely real, and I feel like you know this, but channeling back into that, like, these more new connections for those of you Sagittarius, um, connectivity, appreciation, individuality, those are the keywords. Yeah, this is just letting you know, like, yeah, the form in which these connections are going to take, the experiences shared, it's going to be very unique to this timeline, and there will be experiences that you couldn't possibly have with these connections in April after April happens, Like, for example, like how that's not a bad thing necessarily. Like, maybe you hang out with a friend and doing food again, they ask which restaurant you want to go to. You can go to one restaurant or the other. And both restaurants, both timelines, you really enjoy the restaurant and you probably talk about the exact same things in both settings somehow. Though, honestly speaking, timelines, you would honestly be able to have totally different conversations. So many different things could happen because in the other restaurant, what if like the waiter has a different opening conversation that makes you think of something else, and all of a sudden, or you run into someone in that other restaurant, So obviously, so many differences can happen, but just to make it less complicated, so basically, both restaurants you go to, generally the exact same thing happens, but the meal you got to enjoy that day would be different because two different restaurants. Something like that. Like the exact path you go down, there's just something about like trying to remind you, Sagittarius, to really try not to feel bad about not going down another path when you're only able to really pick one path at a time and that you moved forward and that those loved ones, those connections that you meet, no matter the path you choose, they're going to stand by you, you know? They're gonna be there for you. They're gonna care about you always. They're going to appreciate you no matter what, you know? I feel like I can see what this is about for my very specific situation, but like, yeah, I just feel like maybe a lot of you Sagittarius out there can really relate, or that this is maybe it's making me feel emotional. I also haven't slept yet, and now it's 7 a.m. So I'm also just like, usually when I don't sleep for a long time, my emotions become more open. I still like don't feel them very consciously on the surface. I'm just able to see them and witness them while not feeling it. Um, but anyways, like I'm feeling like this is really touching some of you out there. Like touched your heart, your soul, like this like confirmation or reassurance or validation that your loved ones are not going to get mad at you or blame you for going down the path you chose. And then another way this could all be resonating is like haters, even people who judge the path you go down, judging your success. Sounds like they're jealous, but anyways, like whatever it is, like you really deserve to feel good about yourself, Sagittarius, and to know that like you deserve to not get blamed. Yeah, you just really keep on going, like keep working through the healing. I know it's scary because then when you keep acknowledging with yourself, like this meditation is going to tell you to breathe and to allow yourself to feel safe, and you're like doing it, but also you're like almost kind of like panicking a little with like wanting to break down because you're like, I haven't allowed myself to try and tell myself and really practice feeling safe in a while. If any of you know that feeling I'm talking about, it's just a really emotional feeling, and it's good, but it's really like emotional, and like there's like sadness, but like release and like I don't know. It's difficult, but it's really good. This is reminding yourself to keep doing all that. Even that recognition that you're not to blame. You could never disappoint the universe or your loved ones. That the universe is proud of you. That you have every right to be completely proud of yourself and your journey. 100%. Every ounce of your or fiber of your being, of your soul, of your body. You deserve to feel good about all of it. This can be about seeing that you're beautiful, attractive, sexy, um, physically and spiritually, that the way that your mind works, your thoughts, that they're not bad. Your thoughts are beautiful. Even the ones that maybe you yourself really have a tough time with because it's so painful and they're like, universe sees your beauty and your worth through all of it. Just any and every aspect in which you could love yourself and just like absolutely be unconditionally loving and understanding about yourself. Like, this is like a really strong reminder for you that like that in the middle of the month where this confusion probably came from is that maybe for a long time you weren't receiving that love and that unconditional love and respect and validation from people, from anyone out there, to the point where you felt like maybe you weren't ever going to feel it. Maybe you felt like you got to this point where you felt like maybe you were never going to meet a single person that would just always be on your side no matter what. Some of you've met some connections like that, but it's been on and off and like come and go, cycling through. So then there's still that cycle of fear of abandonment, you know? Um, that's something that I think we all relate to. But generally, a lot of ways, it's like you feel like you've never met this connection until finally. And for those of you that resonate with that, but there's that first part I said too. But anyways, now that you've received that from someone and realized that you were not wrong to know your worth since you were like 3 or since you were born, when you were a little person, you believed it. You feel like you're not making it up, yet the world was telling you that you're not a good person, or that you're ugly. I'm not trying to trigger anyone. I'm just like giving examples of really harsh and cruel things that the outer world could project onto an innocent child. Like, why? You know? But not thinking too deep into why, moving forward with that. All of those things within you where you always knew that that was wrong, for people to make you think that way or feel that way or tell you that, or harm you. It's like you've reached this point, and if somehow this isn't about a person that's like reflecting to you this validation, though I feel like almost all of you, this is definitely about a very, very important connection that like in every ounce of your soul, or in very important parts of your soul, they've validated that have not been validated thus far on your journey. Or sometimes we still always need that reminder. So even if you have been before, like, it still feels like that same feeling of like, no one's ever called me beautiful before, or, type of a thing. I'm thinking of a very specific scene from my favorite series, One Piece. But anyways, the character I'm thinking of is, well, I don't want, it's fine. The character I'm thinking of, her name is Pudding, and there's definitely a scene about that validation for the very first time ever. Oh, that's so sad. I love Pudding. I'm sorry. I'm just, oh, so, okay. But anyways, because you had not, received that in so long, now that you have, maybe the reason why you're in turmoil and confused is because now that it's happened externally, you're realizing there's something internally that, like, some darkness from all the trauma that has taken up space, that now even when you receive that validation that you knew you deserved, it's like internally you're realizing, like, I should be able to believe that I'm beautiful now. But for some reason, like, you can't just suddenly pretend that you're not insecure about something or whatever, you know? It's very, very emotional, and you don't deserve to feel that way about yourself. You really, no one should have to feel bad about themselves in any way, or feel limited that what you wish for is impossible or something like that. You know, it's like I'm just feeling so emotional, and I feel like it's for you, Sagittarius. I feel like I'm really empathizing, um, because I'm remembering these feelings within myself that I haven't had to really think about since around the time of my birthday. Um, but anyways, that's probably why at the end of the month, why you still have all these, because I don't think anything bad happened in April for you, Sagittarius, to be honest. But just where you're at on your journey with the healing, that at the end of the month, like I see that generally you're still excited, you're still moving forward with your healing, and you have healed through a lot of it, but there's something still kind of nagging at you, or tugging at your soul, trying to bring you back to that dark place. There's still the haters in the world trying to get to you, basically. So that was a really long message. But we get card number 8, manifestation abilities. But the overall message for you for the month of April is, yeah, you're literally manifesting big time here. A lot of what you had been asking for, Sagittarius, has been coming in throughout April. That's like the major theme of the month. So, wow. Just when I thought I wasn't going to do a reading that was going to become an hour or more, I was like, okay, limit it to 30 minutes. You can do it. Just when I thought. Here we are, and it's basically been an hour, so I'm so sorry for the length. I'm trying to do shorter length videos so that people who are on a time crunch can watch these videos. But yeah, I really hope that some of you out there are able to watch this and enjoy it. But we're going to go move forward with your love message. We get the Queen of Wands. I feel like this is just saying, like, once again, as a love message, to really love yourself, and to, like, I feel like this is saying, like, in terms of love life, that you're being quite open. There's a part of you that might feel sort of like how I feel at times, the opposite of how I started feeling during this reading, which is like you feel like you can't really even register what your thoughts are exactly, or like you're able to, but it's like once they pass you by, you wouldn't be able to say out loud to someone what you were just thinking about, because it was like all these things were playing out, you know? It's like just like how this character, how this person in this card looks, you know? It's like very like spaced out, a lot of processing going on. You're like there, but you're struggling to be present, but you're still being your loving self. And you're still protecting your loved ones, you know? So some of you who feel like you might be disconnected and not mentally there for certain friends or loved ones, like you're not able to like communicate as much, or you're not able to like um I don't know, just like maybe you're like some of you who worry like you're not able to really be there somehow for someone or for your loved ones, or be present. It's like it's because you're processing a lot, and you know this, but during that processing you still worry because you know that other beings still exist outside of yourself, and that where everyone's at is different. So I feel like you're just seeing that vibe. But to me, the card is signaling that you're actually in a. I was gonna say that you know that you're at a different place from that person. But to me, this is signaling that you're actually in a very similar place. So I'm going to clarify it. We get the 8 of Cups. And this is letting you know that, like, as you're processing and you feel like kind of clouded or like spacey, that you are moving on from this energy. You're working through it. I feel like your emotions are actually guiding you very well at this time. So moving forward, we get the 4 of Cups. And I feel like, you're just choosing to let the energy be. In terms of love life, you're pretty comfortable with where it's at yourself, perhaps, clarifying the 4 of Cups. Or rather, maybe you're defaulting to slowing it down. We get Quasar, exchange of energy consumption. So there's like a message in here that, like, throughout April, as things are slowing down in your love life, you're seeing how that might be actually more draining for you, because part of what you want to experience, of course, is love. Um, so not having as much time to spend with others because you're very busy processing and working and doing. I feel like you might feel a drawback in terms of love life. That's what I get from there. And then at the end of the month, we get King of Cups. But it all turns out with the Tower card, because major changes happen in your life for you, once again, out there in the world. Because again, like, just like how last time when you did all the internal healing, that these major changes were happening at the start of the month. If you remember those messages, getting at the end of the month, the same thing is going to transform and happen for you yet again. Because I get that by the middle of the month, all that hermit energy and reflection and now healing, now that you've been validated externally and realizing that internally you still need to really heal that on your own, you work through that and you go through these major shifts internally. So at the end of the month, once again, the Tower happens and a lot of major changes will happen yet again. But as the King of Cups, now you feel ready for it. So I feel like what this is all saying is that at the start of the month, the things that you were more ready for were probably going to be more practicality based, more personal achievement based, career based, things like that. Areas in your life that logically needed care and focus. And now at the end of the month, what's catching up? Because that was the Queen of Swords and the King of Wands, air and fire, mastery of those elements, and earth, even with the Ace of Pentacles. The part that you didn't feel ready for was the Cups part, the King of Cups, all the feelings and emotions that were going to come with it, that you sort of walked away from, you ran away from, perhaps. This says hiding from judgment, insecurity. It's like that was the one area that you were perhaps too stuck in your thoughts and fears to move forward at that time. That is probably what it was about, for those of you. And for those of you, that could even just be about opening up your heart chakra to yourself. It doesn't have to be about with another person or anything like that. So yeah, at the end of the month, it's like the watery energy is finally there, and you gained mastery over that by sort of, I don't know, after a while of running away from painful feelings, eventually you saw how draining it was, where you realized you needed to face them, face your feelings, and open up to you. Actively choose to open up your heart chakra in the middle of the month. I'm really seeing that recognition there, and that you've got that love and support from another or a partner that says partnership, collaboration, or shared vision. So even just, or you're connected to this loved one through spirit. Like, for those of you who feel like maybe you haven't met someone yet, this is like their soul, and this shared vision about that love is like reminding you to continue going forward, to really find them and to come together with them. So that's another message for those of you who are in that kind of boat. But one way or another, I'm getting in the middle of the month, you've got a loved one or spirit or some loving energy that's bringing you like support to go in that direction. They're really encouraging you to get out from a heavy, like from a dark place emotionally. Get yourself out of draining situations that are like taxing on your energy emotionally and just in general. And then, yeah, I feel like you go that direction. So there's like a really big turning point, I think, in the middle of the month for you, Sagittarius, when it comes to love. So that's what we've got there. Let's go ahead. It's already kind of a long read, so why not? Let's get a final major message throughout or overall for you for April for love. So your final messages in love are like major energy for your love reading for the month of April. Whoa. Cute. Card 38. Go on a walk. Do your own thing. Confidence. Unaffected day. Your love message is be happy-go-lucky. Trust yourself on your feelings. Like, you know who your loved ones are. So no matter where you're at in the world, be confident in that. Like, go about your day unaffected, so to speak. Like, allow yourself to be happy. Don't worry about other connections. And also, as this character does often, if you want to hang out or spend time with loved ones, by all means do that. But if you ever want to just go on a walk or do your own thing, do that too. Like, your independence is actually quite a beautiful thing. And your ability to have fun by yourself is a very beautiful thing too. So, and also this same character really relies on friendship and connections. So, confidence. I really like the unaffected day message and do your own thing. So I think this is just reminding you overall that your love life is also turning out really well for you, that it's honestly really, really good, Sagittarius. Yeah. And that maybe a major energy for you for April is that you're about to embark on a journey here when it comes to love. So maybe for those of you who are already in relationships, maybe a level up in your relationship, taking things to the next level, or becoming that much closer, or working through things and really like having a lot, like a spark reigniting in a connection that you've been with for a while, and like having a good time, having a lot of fun. We're just getting really fun experiences await you on your journey when it comes to your love life. And that's like the major thing about your love life in April. So I know that might sound like contradicting to like all this stuff, but again, it's like I said, you are there for this person or for your loved ones. It's just that emotionally you feel like you're still putting up walls or not ready to like put on the gas or whatever, that analogy I was trying to come up with earlier, that like once it's on, it's on. You're like, once you start, you never stop type of a thing. So you're like, I feel like eventually you're gonna start. And then when that happens, as you know yourself quite well, and now it's all, you're kind of all in that moment once you choose that thing, to make that decision, make that choice. So yeah, I feel like eventually you're like, okay, you're like, I'm gonna send it, and then you send it, and then you do the thing, and then it's happening, and suddenly like all these major changes are happening, and you're, like you're looking back at April, seeing how you went down a very specific timeline that you were worried you're gonna have regrets about. You're looking at it all, and you're like, this is always going to be the case. Any path I choose, there's always going to be another path that I didn't choose. So at the end of the month, you're like no longer worried about embarking on this journey of love. You're like, I can make this choice and be okay of not getting the other choice. I'm going to use someone that I know for the example. Talked about, no, I'm not gonna, but basically the example is like, I don't know. It's just like, it's like each path has things that you want in it. Maybe in one life you were a musician, and in another life you were uh, a graphic designer or an animator. You know, in each of those lives, something else is missing. You know, so it's like you're realizing that you can't do everything all at once. So all of the stuff that you're worried about missing out on, don't think of it as that. Think of it as a bucket list or like a checklist. Like this connection or this love that you want to experience is part of that. So instead of worrying that if you choose this, you won't get all those other things, see it as that you now get to check this off your list and have gotten to experience it, and that there will always be room for your other things on your checklist to do, whether in this life or in another. You will get to experience it all. And it's about to be 7:37, which to me is the confirmation on that message. So that's what I'm getting to let you know about this. It's so tough because I feel like if I were able to do this, watch the video, and then try and like write it all down and like make it brief, I could redo this whole reading and do the reading in like 20 minutes or 15, Yeah, I just wish I was able to be like really fast with my messages, but I'm always not. I'm always very in-depth and thorough and give a lot of different examples just because I think people relate differently, and I'm just so used to people where like I have to explain something a different way because they didn't get the other way I explained it. I'm talking about back when I was a math tutor. I learned with students that everyone learns differently, and that like not everyone's going to learn the like how to do the math problem the same way. And sometimes they need many, many different examples, and to revisit each example in different orders and combinations for it to click, and time, giving themselves time to relax and not stress about it, and to be patient with themselves about understanding math, So, for a little background, as for some of you out there, as to why I do so many examples, it is not because I can't just do one. It's because I have already experienced that there's plenty of people out there that really need different analogies and examples and things like that to really get what I'm trying to say. Um, Plus, I myself think sometimes the first way I explain something is really vague and would confuse myself if I heard it. So I'm like, hold on, that's not quite right. Like, I'm still revising and trying to figure out how to put it out there. I feel like I have all the universe's knowledge inside me. I think we all do. But Pisces very much is like, yeah, you know? And so it's hard for me to express it and put it out there into the world sometimes. But anyways, let's do your career message for April. So we get the King of Wands again, clarified by dark matter, unseen forces at work here. So yeah, it feels like you're really going through a transformation in your career life, doing the right thing here. And the overall vibe is that you still have no idea what's going to unfold in the future for you when it comes to your career. So if you feel like you've been receiving all sorts of big positive changes in your career environment, maybe like a promotion or like an influx of money, this is Spirit saying the best has yet to come. There's more on the horizon. Wow. There's also that there's more meaning behind it all than meets the eye. So in the middle of the month, we got the Nine of Cups. Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of wish fulfillment there. Career life looks very, very like positive. I feel like it's the career-oriented things that, or like daily life-oriented things, your own personal accomplishments, those areas of your life, maybe even your physical health, um, your routine, just major wins, victories in those areas in your life. Clarifying the Nine of Cups, but the Two of Cups, yeah, you feel so in alignment with this energy. In the middle of the month, I feel like you take a very different approach where like you are going through a transition in your career life and you need that time to really adjust and get through the whole shift, the whole transition there. So it's kind of like you don't know how long it's going to take, and you feel like that you need to do that first before you can really focus in on your heart space some more. I think it's always important to be focused on our heart space always, and all of the seven chakras and all of the energy, and that, of course, these seven chakras are more so main chakra points, just saying like the whole fundamentals behind these energetic um, access points or whatever is that these access points are technically everywhere and that there's like an infinity of them. So anyways, these really core chakras, like these are important things to focus on, of course. But anyways, one thing at a time. And the thing you needed to work on at the beginning of the month was you're currently going through this like shedding of old skin energy that you really need to prioritize first. And in the middle of the month, I feel like then time opens up for you where you're able to have, more playtime, more fun, more time to really heal and relax and to really connect in terms of loved ones and connections and friendships, things like that. So for those of you worried about how long this transition will take so that you can really rebalance things, I feel like probably honestly just the first couple of weeks. Things are happen in cycles, so you might go through ups and downs of that, but you'll definitely have some time to enjoy your journey and enjoy love. And then at the end of the month, we got King of Pentacles. Yeah, it feels like you really grew out of the older energy, and now you've made it to the King of Pentacles, really stable, secure. See how this energy is like feeling really content. King of Pentacles is very secure financially and with abundance, and it's effortless and works on its own now. So it's like you've got it figured out, and you've reached this place of peace and stability with your finances, and it's balanced out where you're able to focus on love. You're able to focus on the other things now. You're seeing how throughout the month where you were worried that you were missing out on, for example, connecting with a loved one. Again, it's that checklist analogy. No, you were just checking the first thing off your list. And then now you're checking off the end of the month that, experience of coming together perhaps, or whatever you're experiencing in terms of love, and then all the other things that it's like, I'm seeing how you're working through it all. I'm seeing your process. You're like, okay, start of the month, I was worried that I was making the wrong choice or timeline. By the end of the month, I realized it's all going to be connected, and that it's all basically a checklist. So at the end of the month, when that fear tries to creep itself back in, when that Nine of Swords tries to come back into your life and be like, I don't know if you want to pursue that love path or whatever, that journey in that love reading, whatever that is about. I don't know, like, you might be missing out. You won't be able to do it. You're like able to be like, whoosh, whatever, Nine of Swords. I already know it's a checklist. Like, you've like figured it out. You figured it out that like you'll be able to do the other things after you check that off your list. You're seeing how that's a real possibility for you. Yeah. And we're going to just like pull one final message from this card, from this deck. The Strength card, career message overall is about emotional stability, endurance, and having resolve. So the main theme is that you're very confident and have a lot of resolve on what you're doing in terms of the 3D world. In terms of your career path, you've really promised yourself or made an oath to yourself that you weren't going to back down from this career path. You've made certain promises, whether to your boss or the company or to yourself, or multiple of those things, where you just feel like it's in your own moral code to really like see it through to the end, type of a thing. So I'm getting like the main message about career, of why perhaps you prioritized career over love at the beginning of the month. Aside from all of this, how you like physically, for your own well-being and just everything, like needed to and had to, it's like, again, you set, like, you have your own integrity of who you are as a person, that the things that you set out to do, or who you say you are and what you're going to do, like you're true to your word is what I'm trying to get at. So that is why I'm seeing how you focus more so on career versus love at certain times throughout April. So we're gonna finish this reading finally. This became the longest reading, and it's like I'm seeing the biased pattern, because so I'm very deeply connected with a Libra, and I'm very deeply connected with a Sagittarius. And shocker, those are the two longest readings. And Pisces is probably going to be the next longest one, because I'm a Pisces. But I swear that's not what I was trying to do. And it's not even because I'm trying to pull more information about these people. It's just that like the analogies that I had to say just went on for that much longer. So strange. I think it's because I'm like, since I'm that much more connected due to those energies, that I'm feeling so much more talkative, that time passes by faster for me. I think that's honestly what it is. But I chose to draw two cards for your career message. The first one is card number 20, the answer, and I found it. So some sort of reward. And the other major energy throughout April, January 4th. That's interesting. Card number 19, friendship and warmth. Yeah, transitioning. It's like you need to reach some sort of point in your career or your financial or your physical health. Some of you, it could be that you're not feeling well physically and you needed to take the beginning of the month to literally recover. Some of you may have been feeling sick or a more spiritual thing. Again, your mental health, I could tell, was like a really important area. So again, really, you needed to really find some answers on healing, and you find it. And once that happens, you're able to you jump to friendship and warmth and opening your heart and love. So that shift again, just like how I was showing in the middle of the month here. And again, this can happen before it because normally I like to put a bunch of cards that show the transition between these points just to see where along the lines do these transitions happen. So just kind of keep in mind that it's not like this won't happen anytime in between the 1st of April and the 15th of April. It's like it could very well be transitioning there throughout those 2 weeks, but it's most prominent in the middle of the month. So I hope that makes sense. So this sudden transition or shift could happen even sooner than the middle of April. I'm just getting the stabilizing energy of having chosen to make the shift and work through it. The timing of things, Spirit is kind of saying that many of you will be ready by the middle of April. And yeah. And that some of you, your reminder is to let you know, some of you, it'll be a little after the middle of April. Some of you, this is going to be a really gradual thing that it's going to take some moment, almost like the last second before it's like you found what you were looking for, and then it's going to be really quick. So I actually, funny enough, despite telling you that this could be a gradual shift, I think some of you out there, what it might end up being is going to be a very sudden change. Once you find what you needed out of your healing or stable, really reaching stability in your job, securing the job or the whatever you were working on that was important. Maybe some other area in your life needed your time, or areas, plural. I feel like that would be what's gradual, just needing to give that time. But the switch itself, I think, is going to be like that. So very, very cool. I feel like, yeah, you're working on the important things that you need to work on, whatever career pertains to you. And that honestly, April sounds like it'll be shifting over into the focus of connectivity, friendship, love, self-love, most importantly, self-care and acceptance, things like that. So I'm a big fan of love. So that's how my messages kind of come through. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, Sagittarius. I hope some of you out there were able to watch through the whole thing or able to look back at this throughout April. And I'm sending so much love. And I will talk to you all later. And once again, we'll be trying to keep these readings more concise next time. So, yeah, take care.